There we go. The recording button has
go.
been pressed, and I'm here with Alexa. What's going on, Alexa?
Hello. Nothing really, just enjoying the day. How are you?
I wonder what the day is like when you're a marketing guru like yourself. Do you just like how do you see marketing in a day-to-day like mundane way that non-marketers like myself don't see it?
That is a great question. My brain doesn't turn off with it, but I will say this just to answer your question in a short sort of way. Marketing is everything that you think it's not. So I often hear people say things to me like, well, business has been really good, so I haven't needed to market yet. And in that kind of shoot themselves in the foot, right? And like marketing is every single touch point that you have with your clients. It's every email that gets sent, a confirmation email, whether that happens or doesn't happen. So the way that I do think about marketing, sort of just to answer your question, is in every single touch point, which yes, gets hard to turn off when I'm like just a consumer living in the world.
Yeah, I could imagine that if marketing to you is every single email and automated follow-up email and everything, then wow, then you're just like, you really live marketing.
Yeah, it's communication. Marketing is communication and
Yeah.
community building. And I think a lot of people hear marketing and they think, oh, it's Facebook ads, or, they think it's this like very intense situation that requires a lot of work, but
Yeah.
it's your communication with your clients and with the people around you and how you're presenting yourself to the world. And so, yeah.
Cool. Well, Alexa, it's such a treat for me to introduce you to the Conscious Counsel community. And just so everyone knows a little bit about, I'm not a big like bio fan. Anytime anyone reads my bio, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm just a
Right.
normal person, blah, not the whole blah, blah, blah. But you have a consulting business, which is called Forever Friday Consulting. And then you
Yep,
also
you got
have
it.
a group membership for marketing that's called the Friday Society. And you also have a
Yep.
podcast that's called the Friday Society Podcast. So there's something
Yes, which you're going to be a guest. So I'm excited about that.
I can't wait for it. What's with you and Friday? First things first.
This is gonna sound bad, and I'm whatever, it is what it is. I never went to school on Fridays in high school. I was just by the end of the week, I was like burnt out. I didn't want to do it. And so I maintained a 4.0 GPA. I just will say that. But I pretty much always found a way to just not go to class on Fridays. And then when college rolled around, also did not schedule anything on Friday. It was like my day. Like I loved it. I did things that I wanted to do. I need a lot of autonomy to like be creative. And I was like sort of figuring that out for myself. And then when I entered the working world and I was working for, Soul Cycle corporate, LuluLemon corporate, and it was a 5-day work week, I was like, what is this? And by Friday, I was exhausted and I was like, oh my gosh, I just can't wait. And I was like, I want to go back to that time in college when I had my Fridays, in high school when I managed to get my Fridays. Like, I want to go back to that time. I loved those days and I want to feel like that again. And so, therefore, Forever Friday was born. And that's it. I just wanted every day to feel like that, where I had that creativity and that time to myself to brainstorm and think and iterate and invent. And so I did it.
Cool. I love it. And I also am very happy to know the reason, because before I asked you, I didn't know. But now that I know, I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like there should be 4 days, there should be 4 days that we work. Like, come on.
Yeah,
No brainer.
exactly.
So what I think is really cool about you is that you have a unique approach to marketing. And you also have a unique way of explaining how and where and why marketing integrates into the business of a small business, health and wellness business owner. So I want to sort of I think everybody wants to hear from you. No one really wants to hear me say anything about marketing. So tell me a little bit about your unique approach and how your perspective is different and what you can do that's helpful to small business owners out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So my approach to marketing is really focused on grassroots and organic marketing. So what that means is that to this day, I've built a multi-six-figure brand. I have not spent a single dollar on advertising. I won't do it. I don't think the return on investment is there. And I know that when a lot of people hear marketing, sort of like I said earlier, you think of like Facebook ads, right? And it's, for lack of a better term, there's this like bro marketing approach, which is like your funnels and like build, and like get your leads and your cold leads. And it can be a little bit alienating for people. And I know that we all got started in health and wellness for the heart, like your conscious counsel, like we got in this because we literally want people to live their healthiest, longest lives. Like that is a very heart-centered approach to business. So it didn't make sense to me that to grow these companies with so much heart, we were taking the heart completely out of it. And I got very lucky. I worked for LuluLemon the day after I graduated college. I got hired. And what LuluLemon is, in my opinion, best in the world. You're from Canada, you know this, like best in the world at grassroots marketing. So when I was at LuluLemon, that was in 2013, they'd been around for quite a while at that point. They had never spent $1 on advertising. And by this point, they were a global brand. And the only dollar, this is a fun fact, the only dollar they've spent on advertising was the back page of Yoga Journal, because the founder of LuluLemon and the founder of Yoga Journal like had a good relationship with each other. But that was it. That was the only advertising that they'd done. Everything else that they did was through events and being present in the community and just really building amazing relationships. So that was my first foray into marketing, where I got to see this. And then I started working for SoulCycle, and their approach to budget was a little bit different when it came to marketing. They were kind of throwing a lot of dollars at the wall. And I was observing this, and I just couldn't reconcile how the local studio or the local, registered dietitian who's starting her own practice could do that. Like, I just knew that that wasn't actually a possibility. And at that time, when I was working for SoulCycle, it was about 2017, 2018, or 2019, actually, sorry, it was 2019. And there were so many small businesses that I knew for a fact, not only did they not have money to spend on marketing budget, they were like in debt. Like there was a lot going on, and there was no one there to teach these amazing methods that I learned at LuluLemon, like all the grassroots, all the community building. And I knew that there was a way to bridge this gap. So that was why I started the company. And now my approach, like you asked, is I really like to say, I kind of like to take like a 12-step process. I'm not going to go through all the boring 12 steps, but I take 12 steps is sort of broken out into 3 departments of your marketing. And the 3 departments are going to be your acquisition, which is how are new people meeting you? That's it, right? So that would be through events, through tablings, through partnerships that you're doing, like this right here, you and me. This is a collaboration, right? Neither of us are spending a single dollar on this. And I always like to be really transparent with what's working for my business, because I know other people can help apply it to them. I never want anyone to feel like they're being like taken advantage of or anything. Like it's pure education. You and me are doing this completely for free, right? I'm being introduced to your audience who I don't know yet. You're going to come on the podcast. You're going to be introduced to my audience. They don't know you yet. That's hopefully going to be good for both of our businesses, because we both have an aligned, crew of people, right? Like we both take a similar approach to business. And so therefore, probably, hopefully, I will resonate with some of your people. You will resonate with some of my people. So that would be acquisition, right? So everything under the umbrella of how new people are meeting you is going to fall underneath your brand awareness and your acquisition. Then comes your retention, right? Which is just, okay, great. Now that somebody has met you, what is this relationship building process? How have you made this process comfortable for your client? How have you created different systems to allow them to know about you without you needing to really lift too many fingers? So your retention comes into play of like, how does my new client feel? How are they getting along with my business? How are they interacting? Do they feel, there's so much that goes into that. And then what comes next would be your systemization. So your systems, your marketing systems are so important for giving you your time back. And that would just be everything from your scheduling software, again, your email platforms, your social media, all of that sort of stuff. How are you sort of, it's like if you were envisioning your systems as a human being, like how are you giving your systems the responsibility of filling in, the extra time that you don't really need to be spending. So that's sort of like how I like to approach marketing. It's just your acquisition, your retention, and your systems. And once you've sort of figured out each of those arenas, you've got a pretty good business on your hands.
That's really nice, and I'm learning a lot as you're speaking, and I'm thinking like my mind is racing with a lot of thoughts, which is always a really good thing. So, just as marketing is a very, very big term, also like entrepreneur or small business owner is a very, very big term. So, in terms of what is the range of different entrepreneurs that you work with, and what does it look like? Because maybe someone's watching this and they say, "I just started my business. I have no idea about any of these things. I'd love to join." Or maybe someone's like, "I'm in my 7th year, but there's a big opportunity for me to grow in marketing. So I'd love to join." Like how is it that you're able to facilitate a service for so many different people on different ends of a spectrum?
I love this question. So there's a Kobe Bryant quote that says, "Never get bored of the basics." And it's so important to me because it's so true, right? Like what worked to build LuluLemon 20 years ago is still working for companies right now. We have like, we're human beings, and you like to know that you're buying from a human being. So I have people in the membership that don't even have a studio open yet, that are like opening within the next 6 months, that are getting started right now with all their stuff. And we have people that have been open for 15 years. So you never get bored of the basics. And as long as you have a clear system of what's going on and what's, working for your business, it works. And the other thing is like marketing does change very, very quickly. And what I mean by that is like your marketing systems change quickly. So especially in the health and wellness area, like I'm sure you deal with this a lot with your clients, booking software is the booking software that people are on right now versus even just this time last year is completely different. So in terms of keeping up with industry standards and industry changes, the membership is really great for that. But when it comes to marketing approach, the basics are always going to be what works. So in those two areas, it definitely serves, no matter what stage you're at in business.
What sort of experience would one have when they join the group? Like walk me through what 3 to 6 months of participation in the group would be like, or like even just 1 month if someone's just curious, like, okay, I'll give this a shot. Like, what can people expect when they're in the group?
Yeah, that's such a great question. It's so fun. It's truly so much fun. So we've got about 80 business owners in there right now. I mentioned to you when you and I were on the phone, I'm going to be capping it at 100 just because I'm in there. Like I am on every single person's newsletter. I follow everyone on social and close friends. Like I'm giving feedback. Like I'm really in it with people. It's not the kind of membership that you join and like the facilitator doesn't know you exist, right? Like I know whoever, I get coffee with these people when they're in New York. Like we're very involved. So it really is an amazing community. People are all over the world. And so I host my platform on Teachable, and I keep every single module that we've ever covered on there. So you really get so much content. And I think at this point, there's about 18 modules. Every single month, we choose one topic. So for example, right now we just started August. So August, we're actually doing a deep dive into pricing part 2. So we're covering memberships versus packages. If you have a minimum access point, which is the lowest amount that somebody can access your time for, we're just really diving deep into the unit economics of your business and how that matches up with your marketing, which therefore, will encourage your retention, like your client retention. So that's something that we're covering. And then, so I'll do like a large scale webinar at the beginning of the month. And then a few weeks later, we have some office hours calls where once you internalize all the information, you do the workbooks, you can then come on office hours and we all sort of chat about how to apply this to your business directly. And then there's also the Slack group, which is just so fun and like popping off all the time. And it's really great. It's just like it's a great place to be.
I feel like I don't even want to go to the nightclub this weekend. I just want to be on the Slack group of your marketing. Like, that's where I want to be. It sounds.
It's honestly so fun. And I will say the coolest thing. So even just yesterday, and I'll just tell this story. Yesterday, four people in the membership ended up meeting each other in two separate areas of the world. And like, I didn't even know this was happening. So in Seattle, two members had to meet up with each other. And then in Chicago, two members had to meet up with each other. I didn't even know this was happening. And they were both posting about it on Instagram. And I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. And then I opened up Slack and there was someone who's going to a yoga training in LA in November. And she was like, hey, I'm going to this training. Where should I stay? So many people chimed in and they were like, I think I'm going to that too. What hotel are you going to stay at? Do you want to get dinner? And I was just sitting back being like, wait, this is just the coolest thing ever. So yes, if honestly, like if you're looking for friends who are in this entrepreneurship journey, it's been a really cool place to be.
Cool. That sounds really nice. And I've got two last things before we wrap up. You mentioned that pricing is this month's like a topic. Can you just give some examples of previous topics that you've had over, I guess, 15 or however many months?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's everything. So I usually like to tell people when they join. So when you join, there's an entire module of like, okay, if you're new here, this is how to figure out where to start, right? And I even have a quiz that's like, okay, like I covered in the beginning, there's 3 different areas of marketing. A lot of people don't know which one they need to focus on first. Yeah. So there's even a quiz in there that's like, if you're not sure where to start, take this quiz and then we'll give you like step-by-step what modules to cover. But it's also laid out in the order that I would approach it if I were brand new. So we have client journey where we map out literally, this is one of the most impactful ones that I found for business owners is from the moment somebody hears about your brand, what is your ideal journey for this client? And that's something that I wish everybody would know, right? Like, okay, cool. Somebody finds you on Instagram, even right now, like you're going to come on my podcast next week. Let's say somebody finds your Instagram. What do you want them to do next? Do you want them to go to a link in bio? Do you want them to book a consultation call? What happens after that? Are they going to get an email with all the information about, okay, cool, here's what to expect. These are some of my testimonials. Great. What happens after that, right? So we really map out exactly what your ideal client journey is looking like. That's a really good one. We have an entire module on client appreciation, which really fosters that retention aspect of things, and is a big part of like the soul cycle strategy that I really learned there, and like the real numbers behind encouraging retention. So that one's fantastic. We've got a whole one on lead magnets. So how people are joining your email list and whether or not they feel supported and whether or not that they're learning about your brand throughout that sort of email sequence. Marketing systems we've got. So like how to uncover what's actually taking up a lot of your time and what you can start to systematize. So there's a bunch of webinars in there. They all have workbooks that come with them. I'm a big workbook person and yeah, there's a lot in there.
Cool. It sounds like you get a lot done from Monday to Thursday.
I do.
Super. I do. And then the last thing, Alexa, is just where obviously in the email, we're going to put a link to the quiz or something, but where can people find you or learn any more about you?
Yeah. So honestly, however you guys learn best, the podcast is a great place to get started. So I have a series where I'm doing an Ask Me Anything, and a bunch of questions are rolling in for, just marketing advice. So I would say the podcast is a great place to get started. And then I have a bunch of free resources on my site, depending on what you're looking at. And the quiz is also a fantastic place to get started.
Fantastic. Well, I think this is super rad. I hope that anyone who watches this joins and checks out your stuff, or at least starts following you and starts listening to you, because everything that you've shared in this call to me is absolutely pertinent, relevant, and mega beneficial to someone who knows what they've been doing for a long time, or someone who's just starting to doing this, that whole spectrum of just getting the basics down. So I want to thank you for coming to chat with us. I'm excited to chat with you when I do. And it's just a pleasure for me to hold you out in front of the community and let everyone know that I think you're awesome. I know that you know exactly what you're doing. I know how many people you help. And how cool is it you're creating a community and people are meeting up and you don't even know about it? Like it's just getting started. So
Coolest thing ever. Like
yeah,
truly the coolest thing ever.
and you're just getting started too. So congratulations on your success and thanks for being an
Thank you.
awesome leader in the space.
Thank you so much.